realizes what the term enlightenment means. It means enough goodness and consciousness and compassion when you're alive that it lightens your soul so you rise when you die. So enlightenment is really a description of an elevating soul after you pass away, a soul that travels upward. The more enlightened that soul is, the more it gravitates upwards. The term enlightenment really means the soul is lightweight and not held down by the gravity of despair and darkness and despicable nature, the gravity of trickery and deceit, of constant betrayal. Enlightenment means spring up. Even if, as a living person, a soul experienced betrayals and battles with darkness, they could still rise up. When someone is not a good person, their soul bears that weight. It's not lightened. It's holding toxic baggage. Not the type of baggage of what's happened to the soul, the baggage of what that soul has become. True enlightenment is compassion and understanding someone's suffering. That makes the soul extremely light, so it springs upward fast. Sometimes with the help of angels possibly, versus the soul being weighted down. And if the soul is not springing up, not enough enlightenment is there. It's not being guided up on its own.
So I wanted to play that for you because that was one of my questions too. Like, what does enlightenment even mean? And it's so powerful, like the information that came through. And I'll just read it too. I wanted you to hear it so you know. So that was on, that is right there, the audio, Angels, Demons, and Spiritual Tools. And you could find it, like I said, Audible on Amazon right now, Spotify. You can get it off of Apple. You can find it there. But just get ready, prepare yourself. Maybe sit down, maybe get some lemon balm tea. Like I said many times in the past about anything that's intense, get some lemon balm tea. That would be really good. Fasten your seatbelts. For real. Definitely be sitting down when you hear this. For sure. Sitting down. No one realizes what the term enlightenment means, because that's one of the things that I got from SOC that just blew my mind. It means enough goodness and consciousness and compassion when you're alive. When you're alive. That spiritual movement talks about now, or, being enlightened in some way, having that enlightenment. It's entirely different. Bojana says, Lorelei says, who wrote the book audio? Spirit of Compassion's information from above on the messenger. I took the information and compassion when you're alive. Soul, so you rise when you die. Enlightenment means having enough of that compassion in your lifetime now so that when you die, it allows your soul to spring up and rise. If your soul isn't springing up and rising, if it's not springing up and rising, the enlightenment's not there. We're having tech problems, all kinds of funny stuff, but I think it's cleared up. And I want to say it again because it's that powerful. So I saw somebody with a question just now saying, "What do you mean?" So what's in the audio when you actually hear it, okay? And you listen, there's a part about enlightenment. It's really powerful. But it's important because it plays a role when we die, when we leave this place. I know that young people think they'll be here forever. I get that. I know young people who feel like indestructible. And they just feel like they'll probably be here forever. That feeling. when you're 18 years old or 19 years old or something. But time goes by quick. 100 years from now, we all leave. 150 years from now, we're all leaving. And when that time happens, enlightenment is critical. So check this out. I'll read this. No one realizes what the term enlightenment means. It means enough goodness and consciousness and compassion when you're alive that it lightens your soul so you rise when you die. So enlightenment is really a description of an elevating soul after you pass away. A soul that travels upward. That's what enlightenment truly means, Spirit of Compassion says. The more enlightened that soul is, your soul, the more it gravitates upwards. So you're not stuck here. So you don't stay here. So the more enlightened your soul is, the more it gravitates upwards, so you're not stuck here. The term enlightenment really means the soul is lightweight and not held down by the gravity of despair and darkness and despicable nature. The gravity of trickery and deceit, that bears weight on the soul and keeps the soul heavy and keeps the soul down. So after we die, our soul is weighted down with that deceit and that trickery. It's weighted down by that gravity of that despair. So you guys I'm seeing someone said, you're saying the audio is cutting out in YouTube. Go to Rumble if it's cutting out on YouTube. So make sure you go to Rumble. I'm live on Rumble right now. Rosanna says, demons are trying to stop this information and this live. I feel them here. Wouldn't doubt it. But they didn't stop me from putting out the audio. And I worked hard on that. And Spirit of Compassion did. And my publisher worked hard on it too. God bless them. And we got it out. And demons aren't going to like that information out there. Indeed. Fallen angels aren't going to like it. Dark forces aren't going to like it. Negative energy, negative entities aren't going to like it. So the term enlightenment really means the soul is lightweight and not held down by the gravity of despair and darkness and despicable nature, the gravity of trickery and deceit, of constant betrayal. Enlightenment means spring up. It means spring up. Even if, as a living person, a soul experienced betrayals and battles within darkness, they could still rise up. That doesn't stop them from rising up. When someone is not a good person, so that's different. When someone is not a good person, just think about that for a second. You're a good person. You're a good person. But when someone's not a good person, their soul bears that weight. It's not lightened. So when somebody's a bad person, a terrible person, cold-hearted, just a really bad person, their soul is going to bear that weight. They're not going to spring up. It's holding toxic baggage. Not the type of baggage of what happens or what happened to the soul. The baggage of what that soul has become. That's what it is. True enlightenment is compassion and understanding someone's suffering. That makes the soul extremely light so it springs upward fast. With the help of angels possibly. Versus a soul being weighted down. That alone takes time to really understand and take that in. I know you guys get it, but there's a lot of people out there, you're going to have a hard time with that because they're so intense. There's so much there. I'm going to work much harder on enlightenment now that I know what it is. And that's the thing, people say the word, but they don't know what it is. And asking Spirit of Compassion what enlightenment means and getting that information and that answer alone is just so incredible, really, when I think about it. I was blown off my seat with that information. Having that information. Everybody says enlightenment. What are they talking about? somebody doing yoga on a rock somewhere out in the wilderness or out in the desert, and they're enlightened. It's like when you ask the question and you learn what enlightenment really means, then you're just like, oh my God. And then it's about somebody being a good person, but why? Because of that compassion and everything else, right? And you guys have, the most compassion out there. What is a demon? A demon is what a human soul becomes after death, if that soul was completely engulfed by certain traits when they were a living person. So what I got from Spirit of Compassion, concrete, just solidified information, when I just said, what is a demon? And that information is people. People become demons. It's really sad. It's disturbing in a lot of ways. It's terrible. But humans become demons. So that's that piece of information that's really interesting. And they become demons after death if their soul was completely engulfed. So humans become demons, and then in their demon form, their human traits stayed with them in the demon form. These traits stayed with them. Demons are extremely self-centered, self-absorbed. That's interesting. Self-centered, self-absorbed, selfish. Demons only care about themselves and any havoc they can wreak to obtain self-satisfaction. So humans who get self-satisfaction and doing some bad things have the potential to become demons when they leave here. But it's more than that, because there's more information than that. So when you hear that, there's nuances, there's details. You got to hear the audio for it all. So demons only care about themselves and any havoc they can wreak to obtain self-satisfaction. Demons have no compassion for others. No compassion whatsoever. They're anti-compassionate. No compassion toward life itself. Not even compassion toward animals. It's important to know. So when humans were in their human form, when humans were here, their soul was in their physical human form here, they had no compassion for animals. They became a demon later after death. No compassion toward the sick or suffering. No sympathy, no empathy, no compassion. They're self-serving or fallen angel serving. It's really sad. It's disturbing in a lot of ways. It's terrible. But humans become demons. So that's that piece of information that's really interesting. So humans who get self-satisfaction and doing some bad things have the potential to become demons when they leave here. But it's more than that, because there's more information than that. So when you hear that, there's nuances, there's details. You got to hear the audio for it all. So demons only care about themselves and any havoc they can wreak to obtain self-satisfaction. Demons have no compassion for others. No compassion whatsoever. They're anti-compassionate. No compassion toward life itself. Not even compassion toward animals. It's important to know. So when humans were in their human form, when humans were here, their soul was in their physical human form here, they had no compassion for animals. They became a demon later after death. No compassion toward the sick or suffering. No sympathy, no empathy, no compassion. They're self-serving or fallen angel serving only. So that's another thing on its own. So in this audio, you're going to hear about fallen angels and falling angels too. There's two different things. There's falling angels and fallen angels. They are two different things. And then there's God's angels. So that's important to know. And in this audio, you're going to learn about all three of those. But a human being here, a terrible soul, a terrible person, can die that way, not grow, not move forward spiritually, die, become a demon. And I talk about the details on how that happens. It's really intense in the 7.5 hour audio. They become a demon, and then they're either self-serving for themselves as a demon, like a rogue demon, or they are working for fallen angels. I talk about it in detail. Demons have these traits because these were the traits they had when they were humans. A human soul is eligible to become a demon after death if that soul, while in a living, breathing human, was partaking in some disturbing and uncompassionate practices and enjoyed the harm or suffering within those practices. Did you guys hear that? Right now you're learning how a demon becomes a demon. You're learning what a demon is. Right now, from Spirit of Compassion's information. That's how mind-blowing this is. A human soul is eligible to become a demon after death if that soul, while in a living, breathing human, was partaking in some disturbing and uncompassionate practices and enjoyed the harm or suffering within those practices. That's just like a tiny bit of information compared to what's in this. Being spiritual is living without a little bit. You know what I mean? Being spiritual is learning how to let go of vice and then feeling what that feeling is. Being spiritual is being able to, like, give your body something truly back. The denial that someone may have about their drug or even caffeine addiction is very similar to the denial that people can have about the influences of negative forces in their lives. Demons love denial because denial is like a brick wall to spiritual growth. Demons want the brick wall of denial in place because then it can't expose whatever's holding somebody back from moving forward emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. Demons want somebody in the same stronghold, the same pattern forever, for their entire life. When spiritual growth is held back, that enlightenment is held back. True enlightenment, on the other hand, is a weapon against demons. Keep in mind, someone can claim enlightenment and take part in some practice that seems enlightening, yet is really false enlightenment that demons can draw from or contribute to. When it's false enlightenment, demons aren't warded off. False enlightenment feeds the ego. Demons bask in and can be fueled by this enlightenment of the ego. False spiritual growth normally lacks a humble nature. In false spiritual growth, enlightenment is considered a sport, a personal achievement for the ego. Demons love that. True spiritual enlightenment is true spiritual growth. It is coming out of that place of denial so a person can understand themselves, not just the outer shell of themselves, but the inner shell. When someone comes out of that place of denial, they are humbled. They see the bigger picture. They see others and their suffering. Demons hate all of that. They despise all of that. That is not fertile ground for demons to stand on. That makes it harder for demons to control a person or strengthen their addictions and desires. Demon awareness is another form of strengthening our soul's purpose. While it's not the entirety of the soul's purpose, it can strengthen a soul's purpose, because in the end, demons are tortured souls that have forsaken the light of God, the light of God's angels, and the light of goodness and compassion. All these things should be part of a soul, parts of a healthy soul, helping to strengthen a soul and helping a soul to retain wisdom and sight. Darkness, dark forces, demonic energy, negativity, chaos, parasitic energy, demons, derms, whatever term you use, so many are up against these forces that it feels normal to them. They don't know what it's like to live their life without interference. They've grown accustomed to these forces, and they have become a part of their life. Learning about this information could be not just enlightening, but freeing. Even a rebirthing process where a fresh start begins in someone's life, opening up doors they never expected.
I want to know the purpose. I want to know the meaning of life. Like, I just want to know.
Big part, listen, the meaning of life has a few things all wrapped up in one, and one is having compassion for animal life.
Oh,
you know?
okay.
Like, think, like having compassion for seals, having compassion, right, for animal life, dogs and cats.
Yeah.
And there's, because people have, they shut that, they act like they have compassion for animal life, but they have a shut-off switch in there. Yeah. And in the end, they care more about themselves. And, you know, and the meaning of life is to, of course, have respect for yourself, of course, all that's involved, but having that true compassion for animal life, that is one of the secrets to the meaning of life.
And I'm so happy that I heard what you said about compassion and the meaning of life. Can you keep going? So compassion for dog. I love
that's
dogs
a big.
I'm
That's
too
a
emotional about.
That's a big piece of the meaning of life. That is a very big piece. It's having the utmost respect for life itself, and I think that's lost. I think that's missing in, believe it or not, people enjoying their life doesn't mean that that's what that means. Of course you want to enjoy your life, but people get confused where enjoying your life becomes the meaning of life. It's more than that. It's having that respect for life itself, and that's something different, and that's part of the meaning of life. And there's more to it. I might talk about it soon, okay?
I have a question. All the terrible things that happen to the animals on this planet, it eats me up inside.
Me too.
How do I deal with that?
That's a sore spot for me, truly, because that's that's a really sad thing, truly a sad thing. It's God takes care of them. When they leave and they've been wronged and injustice upon the animals, God truly takes care of them when they leave. Get some good food. You're gonna get me crying. Animals is a tough one.
Yes.
Spirit of Compassion says the meaning of life, okay, is what happens when we leave here. That's the meaning of life. So that's the key right there. Everything we do down here, in the end, is for when we leave. I'm sure that's not helping right now because there's a lot more information Spirit of Compassion can give me on that and that I'm receiving right now too. But that's the short of it. Everything we do down here matters for when we leave. That's the meaning of life right there. Any good thing you do, even on the smallest level, and you're doing it from your heart, on the smallest level or big level, whatever it is, anything you're doing, okay? Just remember, it all counts when we leave here. The meaning of life is to get to that point for when we leave, right? And so that's a big thing right there. And I'm just giving you that little tidbit. And someday I'll talk about a lot more too. Sandra says, like being a good person. Yeah, definitely. I know you guys are all good people. Every little thing you do, doesn't matter what it is, and it has a good intention to it, matters to when we leave here. You save a worm on the sidewalk, and that's all you can do, is you see a worm floundering on the sidewalk, and all you can do is just grab that worm before it gets dried out and it loses its existence and its life. And you take that worm and you dig a little spot in the dirt and you put that worm down in that dirt. That right there means everything to when we leave here. To when we leave here. There's this moment in time as we're leaving here where all those things come to us. Right in between leaving, right on that phase where we're just about to leave, whenever that is in our lives. Now, right when we're about to leave, you see it.
you see every worm you saved. You see everything you've done with good intention. Right? So many people, if you're in that condition, you do one good deed, one little thing. It gets shown to you by the angels before you leave. Right before we leave here, I can tell you this, and I can talk about this for hours and hours and days, because I know a lot more information, right, from SOC. But right when we leave here, every good intention, good thing you've done on the smallest level gets visual in your soul, and you see it. Doesn't matter if your eyes are closed, doesn't matter if your eyes are open, doesn't matter if you're not even all there, but you see it all, and you see every good deed you did, every little thing you did, and it matters when you leave here. And that's just part of it. There's more to it than this, and I can tell you guys another time about when we do leave here. It's not similar to karma. It's about the soul itself. So it's not about karma in the end, because I'm not saying you get punished if you don't do good deeds or anything like that. So it's not a karma thing. What happens is it's about your soul. That's what it is. Everything we do here, the meaning of life, is healing and perfecting the soul for when we leave, because our soul lives on. Okay? We're just in this temple for the moment, and that moment's quick. Billions of years go by, that moment's quick. So